Hi foodies, how are you doing today? It's your girl Jareen. I'm making a simple chicken stir fry today. I'm going to be using one chicken breast and it's going to be serving two adults. Trust me, it will work. This is a good way of using, that one chicken breast that you might have in the fridge and you're like, what do I do with this? So let's get into it. The first step is to cut the chicken breast into very thin strips. You could cut the chicken breast into 3 or 2 pieces lengthwise, and then you're going to cut it crosswise like this. It's easier to cut when it's slightly frozen, so if you can do that, definitely do that. Mine isn't, but when it's slightly frozen, trust me, you'll get those thin slices easier. All right? So set those aside and we're going to do a velveting mixture. This is a mixture of baking soda and water that's often used by some restaurants or even home cooks just to maintain the juiciness of chicken breast. It's completely optional, but you can try it out. You're mixing the baking soda and the water. Then you're going to immerse the chicken in there for about 25 minutes. And this is just going to help it to be really nice and juicy throughout the cooking. And then once it's soaked, you're going to rinse it completely with cool water to get out that baking soda. Just rinse it and then that's it. You're good. All right, so we'll let this soak for a bit and then let's take a look at the other ingredients. So I'm just going to show you how I cut up my veggies for the stir fry. You want to do bite-sized pieces that will cook really fast. This is stir fry, right? So you want to make sure that these are going to be cut small enough so that they can cook really quickly. Sometimes I'll do it like this. Sometimes I'll do strips. So you can cut it on a bias or you can cut it in half and then cut it like this. So that's just one of the many ways I do the carrot. For my stir fries, usually when it comes to the bell peppers or sweet peppers, usually I do just some thin strips or I will do some triangles. So I just get it like this and then cut it diagonally and then cut it straight and then diagonal and then straight and diagonal and just continue to get those triangular shapes. It's just, to add some appeal. You don't have to do that shape, okay? I'm just showing it to you. And then the broccoli, just cut off the florets. If they're super tiny, you don't have to cut them in half. But if you're using some big pieces, you can cut them in half like this, okay? And that's it. When it comes to the onion, keep the root on and then cut it in half like that. And then cut across. And then you're going to cut lengthwise. So just turn it and then cut. All right. And then after that, you're going to cut in the opposite direction to get those little squares or rectangles. So you can chop the onion like that or you can use strips. It's whatever you prefer. Just make sure it's bite-sized pieces and it's pieces that won't take long or cook too soon. And then for the green onions, I just cut them diagonally sometimes. Sometimes I'll just, cut them in rounds. Okay. When it comes to ginger, I just use a spoon to take off the skin there and then I either grate it finely or I do this. So just slice it really thinly. Once you get those shapes, you're going to overlap them onto each other and then cut into some really skinny strips. You'll see after this. All right, and then just cut some really thin, really skinny strips. And then what you'll do is you'll turn them the other way and then just cut some tiny pieces and mince the ginger finely. So when a recipe tells you to mince, of course, that means really tiny pieces. So just use your knife and do this. Chop, 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 then turn in the other direction and just chop, chop, chop. And while you keep cutting in those two directions, then you'll get those really tiny pieces. Of course, you could easily just use a grater. But of course, I wanted to show you this today. And it's the same thing for the garlic as well. You could use a garlic press or you could use a grater, but I'm just showing it to you. You cut those slices, then cut some tiny strips, and then you mince. And guys, when you're doing these cuts, please remember safety first. Try to keep that thumb tucked behind the other fingers. Trust me, sometimes when you're in a rush, anything can happen, but keep the thumb tucked behind those other fingers while chopping, okay? So I have my velveted chicken. I drained all the soda water and I washed it all off, rinsed it twice with cool water, and then pat dried it completely, okay? Now we are going to be using a flavorful sauce for this stir fry, but we want to season the chicken though. So we're going in with some seasoning, but we're not going to use too much salt because the soy sauce is salty already. But go ahead and add your seasonings and let it sit for a bit, and then we can move on. So we have a hot pan with some oil. If you have a wok, go ahead and use it. I added the ginger and the garlic. Stir these around. You don't want them to burn. If the garlic is just, a light golden brown, that's perfectly fine. But don't let it burn. Stir these around for a few seconds and then go in with your chicken. Make sure the pot is hot, okay? You will get a little browning on the, around the edges and stuff. But we're not looking for this to be deep brown. We just want to make sure that it's cooked. And because we did that velveting process, it's going to be super juicy. Some people tend to be concerned about chicken breast getting dry and trashy, as we say in Jamaica. But with the velveting mixture, and when you avoid overcooking, chicken breast will be good. All right? And then set the chicken aside. Add those veggies to the same pot. Now what we're doing with these veggies, guys, is we're going to keep stirring them around, tossing them around. We want them to be cooked partially, not completely. So you want them to be very firm and bright, because once you add the sauce, that is going to cook them even further. So just give them a few tosses and stir them around until they are partially cooked. So you'll see that the broccoli is really bright green, and then you'll add the chicken that was cooked. And then we're going to add my stir fry sauce. Remember, all the details are in the description box. So just stir in that sauce and mix things around. If you feel like you want more sauce, then you can double up, or you can add a little, just a touch of water or unsalted chicken broth to this to make it more saucy. But I'm perfectly fine with this amount of sauce. Remember, the chicken and the veggies won't take long, so don't keep this on the stove for too long now. About 2 to 3 minutes with the sauce and you're good, okay? Everything is cooked now, so I'm just going to add the green scallion or green onions that we cut up earlier and some sesame seeds. This is all optional. I just enjoy it that way, okay? So stir those in. And I had some edamame that was cooked. I added those last minute because I almost forgot about it. But that's it, guys. Really beautiful and simple. One chicken breast. Just one. And it's absolutely satisfying. You can have this with noodles or some rice and you're good. Absolutely easy and tasty. So give it a try and let me know what you think. And of course, before you go, click that subscribe button and share the video with everybody. Thanks for watching. See you next time.